All right, today we're making angel food cake. Special recipe from my mom, Gertie Wolfel. And I have fond memories as a child because I used to get to help her make it. Not a lot of things like that happened always. But I will say I did go ahead and do 16 egg whites are separated in this bowl. And so then the first thing that you're going to do after that is sift your flour. And you sift it 3 times. I have no idea why, but that's just what my mom always did, so that's what I do. And if you don't have a flour sifter, you can use just a regular strainer. And I've had this sifter since I got married, so it has lived through a lot of sifting. And then this is sift number 2. And then on sift number 3, you add a part of your sugar. Now my mom used to make it with 1.5 cups of sugar, but since I'm married to a diabetic, I've cut it down to 1 cup of sugar, and it seems to work just fine. But you divide out part of your sugar and put in your flour. So I put 1/4 cup of the sugar into my flour. And I also don't know why you do that, but that's how my mom did it. Answer that I have given to my children for years. That's how my mom did it. Now, the next thing you have to sift is the rest of your sugar so that it goes in evenly into your, so the other 3/4 of the cup just goes in by itself. And you'll see why later. Now the next part, I apologize because it's going to be noisy, and that is beating up the egg whites to get them to the right point for the cream of tartar, which is your leavening agent. All right, now we decided to spare you the beating, but I have it just at this soft peak stage, and that's exactly where you want it for adding your cream of tartar. So you're going to add a teaspoon of cream of tartar. I will tell you that the teaspoons nowadays for measuring are not what my mother used back in the day. She used the regular old spoons that you ate with. So I feel like you don't have to level everything off because you don't get the same amount they did back in the day. So you just kind of scatter that out around the top of it. Just leave everything going too because I'm going to do the sugar next. So anyway, you just want to beat that in good. And next is the sugar. And you're going to add the sugar a tablespoon at a time, and you sprinkle it over the top. And then you're just going to do that until you've used the entire 3/4 cup of sugar. Okay, this is what it looks like when you've added all the sugar. And I forgot to tell you that this is the part where you let the kiddos help, is doing the spoonful at a time, helping you out with that part, because it's a good time to spend some time in the kitchen together. And it's the part I love doing with my mom because I got to sit on the table and spend some time with just her. And when there's 8 kids in the family, that's kind of a lot. And so when you fold this, you're just going to do similarly to the sugar. You're going to just put it in a tablespoon at a time until it's folded all the way in. And you just do that until you have all of the flour incorporated. Okay, this is the finish up of it. Batter is a lot thicker as you go. You want to be very careful not to overbeat it, to work it, because you'll get rid of your air bubbles. And then at the end, you put in a teaspoon of vanilla, which back in the day of my mother was 1 capful. But obviously that has changed in size also over the years. So that little trick doesn't work anymore. And so then you just fold in the vanilla then you're ready to put it in your angel food tin, which you don't grease, flour, or any of those other fancy things. You just put it in there. And then you bake it at 300 for 30 minutes. And I just kind of check and see how it's doing. And if it's not baking very much, then I go ahead and turn it up to 350 for the last 30. If it looks like it's baking pretty well, then I just leave it at the 300. But that's just a fly by the seat of my pants kind of thing, but you can decide what you want to do. And then we need a spatula. Which, oh, here it is. I know I had one. Okay. And then you just pour it in here. Now, what my mom used to do to be fancy for birthday cakes is she took out part of the batter and put food dye in it and put fancy stripes in, like did a third and a fancy stripe. And that was kind of a hoo-ha deal. So if you ever want to do that for somebody's birthday, you can. Let them pick the color. The flavor and texture of this cake is just so different from a cake mix. And that's what's, and if you over bake it, the genius in it is that I have other recipes that you can incorporate it into so that it's not dry. You've mixed it with a cream cheese, almost a cream cheese, no baked cream, you know, like cheesecake type of a thing. And then you put Lara's cherry in between. Always been a hit with my family. Or you can do the strawberry jello with the strawberries. And that's usually a big hit. So there's other things that you can do if you overbake that darn cake. So all is not lost. Okay, and that's it until it goes in the oven. And then we'll show you what's done. Kind of doesn't pop up. And then you're always going to invert it until it's cooled. And then after it's cooled, you'll take a knife and run around the outside and the center. And then once you pop the outside of the tin off, you'll go around the inside of this flat piece and take a knife there, and then the whole thing will just come out on your plate. And I'm not going to show you that because that's just easy.